cheer for your Sydney Swans.
Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods, a fan podcast of the Sydney Swans Football Club.
So to all you loyal Swans out there, you just can't get enough of the red and the white.
Fluff up your tail feathers and settle in for a potentially biased yarn about all things to do with our beloved Bloods.
G'day there, Cygnus and Swanlings. Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods. You're joined as always by the boys from Sydney. I'm Chris and this is Noddy.
That's right, you lucky loyal Swans fans. In this review episode, we're going to be chatting about the massive win in the wet against the GWS Giants. And remember, if you like what you hear, give us a follow. All right, let's kick things off with a quick game recap.
Last Saturday afternoon, in front of 40,000 adoring Swans fans at a very wet SCG, our Sydney Swans defeated the GWS Giants by 29 points with a final score of 14-14, 98 to 10-6, 69. Noddy, a really great game, all starting with a really good moment of reflection by the AFL across the board in a united stance against violence against women. What did you see from that? Did you see it just being a good moment? Everyone kind of got around it quite well. Yeah,
it's been great, mate. I think it's a big talking point. It's a crisis point, and it was good to see everyone unite and stand up for that. And I thought it was a good moment before the footy as well in Sydney.
We've actually, there is a few things we can say. So 1-800-RESPECT, if you or anyone you know is affected by DV, that's 1-800-737-732. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week doing the Lord's work. So make sure you reach out reach out to somebody if you feel that's relevant. AFL coaches across the board started off the press conferences on the subject, which is good. And Ben Brown was the only AFL player that I noted making another stance on it. So a beginning and hopefully something we can really do and get around as AFL community. Now, moving on to the game, the Bevy won the Battle of the Fridge. Noddy, can you please remind the audience, our lovely listeners, what exactly the Battle of the Fridge is?
So the Battle of the Fridge is the little battle that us, Bevy of Bloods podcast, have with the GWS Giants podcast, Never Surrender, by the Squinters. And the winner gets bought a case of beer by the loser in terms of podcasts. So the Squinters boys, they're going to be sending us a case of beer our way. Is that right, mate?
Yeah, that's right. They actually offered to buy us a case of Tooheys Red. Now, Tooheys Red is not something I don't even recall drinking. I didn't think they made it anymore. I don't think they stopped making it in like 1988, I suggest. But we've suggested maybe Tooheys Old is something we'd be keen on, but yeah, Never Surrender, those guys at the podcast over there, they do a good little thing. Lovely guys, and yeah, I mean, you got to support the guys who support their team, right? So it's it's a good little uniting thing. Nonetheless, mate.
Tooheys Red, though, mate. There's two ways to look at this, right?
What's
they're
that?
They're being cute, sending us a beer with one of the colours of our team.
Yeah,
or they're like, they're a bit dust, they're a bit sour, they're a bit ginger, so they're giving us the shittest beer that's ever been made.
Is anyone out there drinking Hammer and Tong? Because I suggest that's probably something coming our way. That is a rubbish beer, but we'll get there.
We got to if we happen to get a loss next time, then we'll have to think of a really tasty beer to return the favour. But hopefully it never comes to that. Hopefully we just continue winning. What a bloody win, mate.
What a win it was. It was such a great game. Look, we knew it was going to be rainy, but 40,000 fans rocked up to the game and it was packed. It was awesome. What an event. Mate, you saw them scrambling because we're in the undercover seats over there, at the O'Reilly 3, but you see people just start bailing out as soon as it started raining. But then most people were organised. They had themselves their little coats and everything got going. And then, when the second the sun comes out again, even if it was a bit drizzling, the crowd came out in force all over again. It was just a perfect event.
That's right. You take your regulation size umbrella, make sure it's out of the way, and then pop it up if you need to. But everyone was pretty orderly. I did hear of a few children getting trampled, but I think that's just that forms memory. It provides opportunities to become resilient, and these are forever memories you'll have. We were there at the Battle of the Fridge, the Powell's Creek Kapow. That's one to go into.
The Powell's Creek Kapow. Yes. Yeah, Noddy. So Noddy and I this week were trying to think of other ways to describe the Battle of the Fridge. So Battle of the Bridge was the original comment, and we refused to allow our bridge to be in contention. So the Battle of the Fridge was created, but we also were looking at other options. Can you remind everyone? Can you please educate everyone what Powell's Creek is? Yeah,
the weirdness that is my brain. So I was googling the LGA boundaries of the Greater Western Sydney. This is a Western Sydney University page, so it was legit, and so it very clearly outlined where Western Sydney is, and obviously the border between Sydney and Western Sydney, the closest one to us as Swans Heartland is basically, if you follow the Parramatta River up westward, inland, it hooks to a left just past the Ryde Bridge, which basically leads you into roads. Right, this might not make any sense to any Victorian listeners or interstate listeners, but basically it hooks left towards Homebush, like where the Olympic stadiums are, and there's a little creek called Powell's Creek. Honestly, never heard of it. No, I'm pretty certain that no one has ever heard of it. But if you look at this website, the boundary straddles this creek, and actually at parts it's part of Western Sydney, at parts it becomes part of Sydney. And then, so I'm like, this is the geographical landmark that we are fighting over.
That is
this creek that no
ground.
One's fucking heard of, that everyone wants between them and us.
100%.
And then we just got to figure out the alliteration. That's where we came up with Powell's Creek Kapow.
The Powell's Creek punch-on was an idea, but that was just a little bit too strong. So we felt that the Kapow was about as good as we're going to get it. So yeah, the Battle of the Fridge, otherwise known as the Powell's Creek Kapow, was successfully won by the reigning winners. I think the reigning winners.
Yes, the
reigning winners in the winners in the rain.
Yes.
Yeah, because we won it last night after Hayden McLean kicked like 7, and we had kicked 12 in a row from memory. So yeah, that was a wicked game. But yeah, okay, let's get back to the game. Let's stop talking about the Kapow. Yeah.
So, all right, just real quickly, a bit of a elevator pitch. We lost the first quarter and then won from there on in. That was kind of it. So tough first quarter. They led by 15, and then we came back and we won every quarter, and then we just kept getting better and better. I mean, they barely scored in from second quarter onwards, right? It was their lowest score of the season, 69 points. And they've only once been conceded against more than we scored 90. It was frustrating not to get the 100.
I know. We were screaming 100 we were yelling 100, trying to get them going. But at that point, they were just happy.
Junk time goals, that's what we're about. But the Blues, scored 117 against them in round 6. So look, it was a very pleasing effort considering that we're up against it in the first quarter. Obviously, Tom Green went down. Excuse me, I've got a few frogs left in my throat from the weekend. But I mean, if we're going to talk about outs, Tom Green goes down in the first quarter, comes back on in the second, but doesn't get up, and then we pretty much run away. But obviously, Tom McCartan, Callum M. Brown, that's a massive talking point.
Yeah, so that was on our side of the ground. That was right in front of us. Look, I'm going to try to be as straight-eyed of a fan as I can be. I kind of felt that it was a very tricky situation for Callum to get out of. He was running at full pitch to the ball, so was McCartan, and I think Brown kind of left his feet a bit, and the angle just kind of slammed into McCartan's head. Now, we've spoken about what this really means to... Callum's now gotten 3 weeks as a result of it.
Yeah.
What we spoke about in the past in the podcast was that it's pretty clear cut that the result is what determines how much time you sit off the ground. And that's just been emphasized a few different times in the league. And I think that's just where we stand, right, Noddy? I think there's no other ground. You can throw that the high, medium, all that kind of stuff out the door. If you can cuss someone, you're sitting out 2, 3, up to 6 weeks out.
Well, I mean, Peter Wright got 4 on Cunningham. I don't know. I don't really know how this is much more different, other than the fact that probably he didn't leave the ground too much. As
clearly, as much probably. But I mean, even in Peter Wright's defense, like, he was somewhat going for the ball. I mean, he was going in the hurt, but also he was there where the ball was going to land. So I don't know. It's at the end of the day, if you can cuss a bloke, you're sitting at least 3 weeks. I kind of feel Peter Wright was the testing child of this, and at least they're being consistent for once, right? Until next week. So it is what it is.
Wouldn't consistency be 4 weeks for Callum and Brown?
That is a great point. Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good point.
So I think your point is it's 3+, right? 3, depending on the severity of it, the look of it, could go up to 6 weeks. But
why is it our players that keep getting concussed, by the way? Anyway.
What's that?
Why is it our players that keep getting concussed? I know there's others. Obviously, Brayshaw's like not playing anymore as a result of it. But why does it feel like it's our guys like copping these massive hits?
And is it easy
first of the ball?
I think it's the McCartan boys. They're just hard at it, right? But it's easy for the media to then go, "Oh no, it's another McCartan. We know what's happened to his brother." It's like susceptibility to concussion, a genetic trait. Like that's what I'm like. They're very quick to point out that that's his brother. It's like, but they don't have the same brain. Like they're two different bodies, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I don't want to bring this up, and I shouldn't be, but Ben and Sam Reed, I don't know, man. There's something to some of these.
Well, I guess their fault, the McCartan's fault is they're just how hard they are at it. Yep. They throw themselves at it with reckless abandon, and as we've seen, sometimes it's to their detriment. But
the word is that he is perfectly fine. So Horse even updated today to suggest that McCartan's feeling perfectly fine. They have no reason why they won't see him again. Obviously, like they've got their protocols and they have to abide by it. Thank God, because there's still a lot to learn about head knocks in games like this. But he will be coming in and be selectable from what Horse is saying at his very next game. So we should be good there.
Awesome, mate. Well, in terms of the game itself, mate, there were so many great performances again. It's that kind of year at the moment. Touch wood. I hope it keeps rolling on. But everyone is just rocking up. Everyone is playing their role. Everyone is just giving little highlights reel. I mean, the only person who I think is truly role playing, and I know we haven't spoken about him in the past couple of weeks, is Robbie Fox, and he had another one of those games today. When they played. But everyone else, I mean, Errol's pickup did you see that little pickup in the wet pickup off the ground and then kick?
Yep.
I mean, that's one tiny little thing, but
it just shows his skill set, his speed. He's at the ball, doing everything.
In the wet.
It's a good shout about Robbie Fox, because Robbie Fox is about to start playing a pretty important role now with McCartan out, right? And he is quite clearly the next guy in line to kind of help out in that back line, and he does the job. And we've tried to fill him in, as Horse said even the other day, like at the press conference. You can fit him in anywhere. You can play in the wing, play forward. They trial him out forward, they're playing him out back. I mean, he is such a utility player. He such a dark horse. I didn't think that Robbie Fox would be such a utility for us in this way. It's amazing.
That's it. Versatility is sometimes can be your the thing that brings you undone with Campbell. But let's talk about Rampy, because he's been out for weeks. It sounded like they rested him an additional week. I actually thought that Parker was closer to coming back than Rampy.
Yeah.
But then he came back in and he just dominated, and obviously needed those guys to step up when Tommy went down. But how good did Ramps look?
Ramps was
he looked
amazing.
Like the Ramps of old, didn't he?
He was just. It's just he reads the game so well. You forget when you don't see him on the ground for a while, and then he plays a game. And McCartan was on at this point in that first quarter. And he's just like reading the ball well in advance of his opposition. He's knowing exactly where to like kick it over to. He knows his positioning. He's like screaming at guys on what to do. He's just that general straight in the back. You solidify that back line. Here's the question, Noddy. Who is the next guy to fill in for that? I know you don't get Rampy off trees, right? They don't grow off trees. You don't just go out to the market and just hire them. You don't just buy them. There's something that developed. They're a natural ability. They're a leader in many, many ways. How are we going to fill in that spot? It's going to scare me now.
Do you mean like after he retires?
Yeah, like is this?
Or if he goes down again?
Or both. Like I mean, let's just talk about if he goes down. Let's talk about the immediate need for this year. Well, like we filled up okay, but
while Tommy McCartan is still out as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they both get so obviously Blakey there so Melican, who also went off at one point, but he played out the game, so I think he's all right. But he's like a lock, he's performing really, really well this year. We've spoken about him a lot. Blakey can play tall. He hasn't had to this year, but he can play tall if he needs to. Obviously, the next keys that are in are Francis has been there in the emergencies a couple of times. Hamling is thereabouts. Reed is injured, obviously, but then there's Buller and Edwards who are kind of at either ends of the ground. But it's really kind of Francis and Hamling at the moment. But long term, I think Snelly is. But that's going to be another 5 years, I think. I think he's going to be like something between Rampy and Tom Stewart with a better kick.
God damn it. All right, calm down, Nod. Jeez,
That's
Louise,
just,
I hope so.
That.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we've got ourselves a great situation where we know the back line has been playing fantastically, but, some of them are coming of age. You look at Lloydie, Foxy, Cunningham, they're all at 30. Rampy, 30, 31. So we do have a genuine consideration of what we're going to do with this back line, and we're going to have to start blooding some of these people. So that's just something that I'm kind of flagging out. We're going to have to start blooding these guys for this year.
Well, I mean, funnily enough, and I'm sort of jumping ahead here, sorry, mate, but in the VFL, Hamlin kicked 3 as a forward, and he kicked one of the best goals I've ever seen from the pocket. It was like like a 5-degree angle. It was just he just was like, yes, that's the best thing I've ever done in footy. But look, I don't know, maybe they were prepping to play that swing role before we go over to Freo next this week, but that was obviously I guess they knew that Tommy had gone down, right? So so if they know that Tommy's gone down and they put Hamling, who had been playing defence, up forward, then maybe they roll with what you said there, mate. Fox stays and Blakey goes tall, Melly's there and Rampy's there, and then you've got your shorts to cover. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. We've got, look, the other player we need to speak about, you mentioned a bit earlier all the players that have been playing really great, Rampy being one of them. The other one on the other side of the field, Hayward. He's still doing it, still playing his great season that he is in his contract year. Yeah. You've got a theory, mate. Let the bevy know all about your theory.
So this was Ollie announced, I think the week, either the week or the couple of weeks before he played his 150th, right? So they announced the 5-year extension, and then he played his 150th. Was that this game or the game before?
That was this game, yeah.
That was this game. So there's all that kind of where they kind of announce good news before milestones. So I've got this. So I think that game on the weekend was either Hayward's 146th or 147th, right? So in 3 to 4 games time, I've got a feeling that they're going to announce his extension. But at the same time, that I believe it'll make things tricky for Logan. So, I mean, ultimately, it's like, who do you want kicking your goals, right? I mean, Hayward kicked 4-1. He was incredible, right? Incredible in the wet. His chase down tackling this year has been fantastic. He's been very accurate. People like to call him wayward. I think he's kicked 15-5 or something, right? I don't know, mate. That's just a little bit of a working theory I've got. But
I like it. It's backed up with a bit of evidence as well, like a bit of a consistency. The other part is that he is a bit of the social media boy. Like they love him and they use him a lot. And he's said on many occasions on different platforms and different mediums to be like, he loves it here. It's just things got to be working out. Like I don't see how he's going to be leaving. I think it's just a matter of how much of a discount he's going to have to give. Yeah. And I would love to see him stay, but at the same time, this is a business, and if he's able to make that big contract elsewhere, it'd be sad to see it go. But yeah, he's just such a staple, and his horse is. I mean, what was his nickname? Pony. Like, his horse's best mate. Like, the horse loves him. So I think we just need to give the pony up the money for the pony, and then see it out. But as you said, that has implications to other contracts. What happens with Logan is that start up some of his money, and we've got a problem altogether with, and we're not in the background. We don't know all this stuff, and it's impossible to know.
I'm a little behind on my my list calculations this year, just because I've been busy needing to do things in life. But excuse me, I think that if they can get them out long enough and roll them through to the next CBA increase, and we back end some of these contracts, then we can just effectively keep back ending. But if they're not too crazy, like the Blakey one was pretty long, right? That was and Mills and Heaney, and they've all been pretty long. If they can be in that sort of 4 to 5 year realm where you're going through this current CBA, and then that first year of that, your first, if you get 5 years, then I think it's through to 2027, right? So, I think that there's some flexibility there. So, but I think that the fact we had all these signings to do, if they have taken unders, which is kind of like what Goulden is sort of suggesting, some of the guys have been doing, then maybe Hayward is part of that, and hopefully Logan comes on board as well. But yeah, look, I'm just hopeful we can get it all done, because if we can lock these guys away, and JJ's the other big one there, I'd give him probably as long as those other guys as well.
Speaking of JJ, he had a cracker of a game.
Yeah.
On Whitfield. So one thing you can listen back to the podcast. One thing that I was really excited about is James Jordan. I was really excited about him. Not from the fact that I wasn't excited about, obviously, Taylor Adams and Brody. I was very excited about them. But I just was, I'm a big fan of that position, in that wing position. And I felt that Melbourne had droves of them and just managed to lead them up really well. James Jordan was one of those guys. Didn't get enough game time. What I didn't predict was how good defensively he would be out of the box. As he's found himself into the game, and as he's loosening up, he's finding himself just being an amazing tagging kind of role, and also at the same time just being defensively and just all over the place, just exactly where he needs to be. As an example, Whitfield this week, 19 disposals, 2 scoring involvements at 68 efficiency for Whitfield. The week before against the Lions, 31 disposals, 5 scoring involvements at 80%. So in every way, shape or form, shut him down. JJ is a star.
Mate, I'm happy and sad. I'm happy because he's a legend for the Swans. JJ is playing well. I'm sad because I got Whitfield in my fantasy team. and
That's
JJ's
your fault for going against the Swannies, mate. That's your fault.
I've got plenty of Swans in there, but yeah, obviously not enough, mate.
Yeah.
Look, all right, we've mentioned a few players. We've got to talk about the midfield, and we've got to talk about Grunzilla, Brundy, and all these amazing mids we've got.
Look, Errol, we haven't even touched on Errol apart from that one little one. Winning his second Brett Kirk medal. Now, controversial subject, Noddy. You can't question how much we love Errol. You cannot do it. Don't bother, right?
I've got custom made shoes with his name on it and signature. So I do love the guy.
Yeah, we were talking and filling it up when he had half his clothes on. We know all about how much we love Errol.
He had some good stats, right? 29 touches, 6 score involvements, a goal. He was doing Errol things, right? Did he? This is my two-pronged question.
Uh-oh.
Did he only win because Luke Parker didn't play?
Yeah.
And B, did he only win because he's Errol bloody Gordon and he almost won the Brownlow last year?
Yeah. Look, I mean, he did play an amazing game.
He played awesome.
He played great. I think Chatty, for the second year in a row, was unlucky to get those biscuits. I think Chatty last year as well was really unlucky not to get the nod for Brett Kirk. Maybe Chatty should have been born in New South Wales. Maybe that's his problem. Maybe next time try harder. It's his fault. That's on him. No. That's on Chatty. Yeah.
So what Chatty kicked 1-2? Wow, he kicked 2 behinds. Okay, so one of them was that touch one from Taylor, wasn't it? I mean, 28 touches. 11 contested possessions, 1-2, 17 pressure acts, which was pretty decent showing. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I think Chatty had it. He just had one of those. What did Matt call it? Damaging and
decisive
game. Yeah,
damaging and decisive game. That's right.
That's it.
From Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just got boosters. Even in the wet, he looked just a gear above, didn't he?
He did. So yeah, I think just you could literally split. I think, you between the two, I think either of them deserved it. We can flick a coin. I think last time we said the exact same thing, but yeah, Chatty for 2 times in a row. I think pretty sure it's 2 times in a row. Misses out. And yeah, to your first question, could Luke Parker have won it? Yeah, probably a contested ball in the wet. Probably could have kicked about 7. Yeah, it would have been wicked. But yeah, he was having another week off in the VFL.
It's pretty much what he did in the VFL by all accounts. 37 touches, something crazy like that. And I think at least a goal.
All right, now Brundy. Let's talk about Brundy. Brunzilla.
Well, he, I think 2 weeks in a row now, highest tackle. No, it was Chad last week, wasn't it? So 11 tackles. game high, equal high with Callahan from the Giants. I don't know. It's just one of those games. He was just a solid game, wasn't it?
He was beautiful, and I think watching him on maybe it doesn't come across quite as good on TV. Perhaps I mean, we watched the majority of Swans games in person, so it was a bit different for us, or it definitely feels like that. But at the ground, just seeing him move around, just get him into every position, every single play, putting pressure on him so many different ways, and just playing a perfect game. I can't get enough of watching him. Just watching him play the game, and the ball hits the ground, he's onto it. The guy's trying to get away, not with his long arms. He gets them down. I just love everything about Brondy. I'm a big fan.
I mean, Hickey was awesome for us when he came in. But you can't help but feel like maybe if we'd had a player like Grundy when Buddy was still there. And I mean, it's hard now. It's hard because Hickey did such a good job, and all of our young mids are like 1 to 2 to 3 seasons in, right? And so they're starting to hit their straps. So the whole dynamic is different. But yeah, I don't know. It's just one of the things we were kind of missing was some of that clearance stuff. But I mean, look, he's still giving away a lot of free kicks, right? I think he's still up there in the league for that. He's not winning every clearance, but you don't have to, right? But I just think, his general. I think his defensive work is outstanding. Like his pressure acts and his tackling, and I don't know. I think Briggs is a pretty good player for them, and he's regularly in their best players. And I don't want to say he completely nullified him. And I think Briggsy won a few stat lines over Grundy, but I just think in totality.
Grundy had it plus 20 in hit outs, plus 12 in clearances. Did the number.
Destroying. What are some of the buildings in Parramatta Square? The Grundzilla was just running amok through Parramatta Square, ripping the tops of buildings off.
I was gonna say it's like ripping the buildings off in like Homebush, but I'm pretty sure those buildings are those buildings that are falling down because of bad engineering anyway. So you don't need Bronzilla to come break it down. It's just cheap developers screwing it over, and then all these poor people having to leave their own homes. So anyway,
there's definitely more bang for buck in Parramatta Square. There's a lot of government buildings out there as well.
Yeah.
I think you'd be into that. But
so we talked.
Rowie was good.
Rowie was great. Heat. We haven't even spoken about the Heat.
Heaney. Who? Sorry, Isaac Heaney. Oh yeah, that guy. Still leading the
coaches' votes.
The coaches' votes. Although the gap's been closed a little bit by Merritt.
Merritt's having a scream in the last few weeks. He's a phenomenal player. But he's starting to climb up. But Heaney, I think was just he played an incredible game. But I think just part of it is the fact that he was just. Everyone else has just turned it on so well. I did, and this is really coming down to the Giants and the game generally. We prepared for this game. It feels like a little bit better. It just felt like the Giants really softened up much earlier, and we definitely adjusted to conditions much faster than they did. We were playing wet football well in advance. We were better at contests, stoppages, getting that done. I think we won the stoppages by a fair bit. And I don't see where the Giants buggered up their own game plan. That is their style. How did we ruin that? I'm trying to work it out myself. I know that
I think it's pressure, turnover. We scored a lot from turnover as well. Pretty much from second quarter onwards, mate. What was it? We scored. Hang on, got it here somewhere. Where is it? There it is. 33 points. Yeah, they were beaten in scores from turnovers, a season high for them, 33 points. And then we had, I think you made a note there, we smashed the inside 50s. We had like plus 27 from quarter two onwards. And we'd scored 80 points to their 36 in that period of time.
Yeah, far out, yeah.
So I think it's pressure and turnovers and using it and actually converting.
One thing is, like, there's teams out there that'll damage you for turnovers, but I think where we're really strong in, and it's just emphasised against that game against Gold Coast as well, and a couple of the other games. I think the Pies game was similar to that as well, very much so. Like, it's just the amount of pressure we apply, and then we're able to break out into that contest and use it well. So it's the starting off pressure and then converting with that. Just keep it going.
This gelling midfield unit, right? Heaney is coming first for scoring involvements. Chad's third, and Goulden is fourth. Right, so we've got 3 players in the top 5. The other 2 is Track in second and Harry Mackay in 5th. So, yeah, they're all among it. They're all like, their pressure acts are up there as well. We know that regularly Heat and Chad, that's what Gordon, he just runs all day as well, isn't it? When you've got a midfield that's in good nick and gelling well, and they're tackling together and moving forward together and scoring, it's just bloody beautiful. And look, hey, maybe the media, some of them have acknowledged it. I don't know if all of them have, but maybe they want to take us seriously now. Yeah, maybe, just maybe.
Probably not, and I'm cool with that as well. So I think someone put out like a really good like a Gantt chart of what the process is, where you talk up a team, they lose against a contender, and then they go down to the bottom again, and then you forget about them. And then 2 weeks later, when you've got nothing else to talk about, you bring them up again, and then that's when they get talked about. So basically it works in like a 3 or 4, 5 week cycle, right? Yeah. The Swans are kind of in that middle part where they're about to be spoken about again. And then all of a sudden, maybe next week, we are the greatest things in the world, since sliced bread. And then, and then that's just it. They need to talk about something, otherwise it'll just be boring. So I just feel that they don't actually care about bringing out proper content like here in the bevy. They're mostly just interested in bringing out content, full stop. They just need stuff to talk about. And so that would be, let's not talk about the Swans, let's talk about more Melbourne focused teams. And I'm cool with that as well. I'm all about it.
Here's a question without notice, and this is a bit of a clickbait question. How the fuck is Toby Green captain of GWS?
I don't know, man. He
was fined again. He punched Lloyd, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So someone had said he's like the most fined player.
It's 30-something thousand at this point in the year. Yeah,
in the history of the world. Yeah. Like
no, that's right. Is that what you mean? Yeah, okay. Ever by anyone?
Ever. Yeah. Like, obviously, you would love to have him on your team. Yeah. Right. Let me just get that out there. But like,
well, people will question you about that. There's heaps of Swans fans that are like, I would never take him as a grub, and I can kind of appreciate why you'd say that. But he's a great player. The guy turns games on him by himself. I mean, maybe not this game, obviously, but I think you make him captain. They love him. They adore him in that locker room, and they know he goes out there to battle. So I mean, if something you can back up on, I guess, and that's the reason why. But yeah, like, it's not a good look when you're copping fines every single week for punching blokes. But at the same time, it is Western Sydney, and that is my old heartland. And I'm telling you what, if you're going to get behind a bloke, you might as well get behind a bloke who's just punching guys in the gut every now and then. So,
remember the kicks he used to do?
The kicks in the head
in the marking contest.
He got away with that for like a season before someone did something about it. Yeah,
it was probably one of the several rules they've changed on account of him.
The Toby Green rule, yeah, like the Ginnivan. They should be called the Selwood rule, but whatever. But right. Noddy, one quick one I wanted to flag as well, just kind of stepping back onto the good players and our good midfielders that we spoke about. Yeah. I've been keeping a track of the CBAs for the year. And one thing I did want to flag was that Rowbottom hitting just about 90% of centre bounce attendance this week, like really being forced inside and being the man to do so. I guess I'm not that surprised, considering, I mean, prior to this has been the 40s and 70s and the 60s, but 90 in a contested game. That's when you get the guy in, right? That's when you get that ball in to start just smashing guys.
He's just looking. I mean, look, a couple of weeks ago when we're like, oh, we don't have enough forward pressure, and this was like when Wicksgate was still happening and Parker's out, I was like, oh, hit the panic button, put Rowie down up front because he's a tackling machine. But he looks so good in the midfield. Like he's just. I actually think he looks cleaner this year. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I think his like little handball work. Oh, obviously his defense is that's his one wood, but. Like, I just think he's actually using it better. I think as we've saying, like, the players are gelling, they're moulding, they're just knowing where the players are going to be, and it helps to have that, as we're saying, that sort of that dominant ruckman there who's not winning everything, but certainly giving them a very good look. And it makes sense to me because he's just looking. He's 100 games now. He's getting better and better, and.
Blows my mind. He's only played 100, eh? Like,
yeah, I know.
Oh, that's nuts.
I mean, 100's a good run, but it feels like he's played a bit more than that, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. For next week, I'm going to give myself some homework to look at his his disposal efficiency. I think we actually brought it up earlier in this year. We noted that it'd grown a fair bit. I think it hit in the 70s or something, and prior to that, his averages were in the 60s and 50s. So I'll bring that up for next week. But yeah, it's a good shout.
You go to the disposal efficiency thing in the stats thing, and it's basically just defenders who don't touch it.
Oh yeah.
They're like 100% because they've had 6 kicks at 100%.
6 kicks, and because they're all like intercepts and stuff like that, and getting some lazy ones. But yeah, that's normally it. You get that inside, and insider hitting 70 is superb.
Robbo's still coming 22nd. I don't know how many kicks he's had, but he's still pretty fit. I mean, he was probably a little bit quiet by his standards.
Yeah.
But it was a wet game, and he's still very young, so he's going to go through these ups and downs. I think a lot of Swans fans are saying that maybe he goes to sub, he or Wicks. If
I can't see why you would say. I saw a bloke on one of those Facebook pages say like, this bloke, this Matty Roberts guy is no good. He needs to come off the field immediately. And I'm just like, it reminds me that I swear to God, some of these fans just don't watch the game. I swear to you.
They don't watch it, and then they come in and they see like
one moment.
Because at one point, Toby Green ran around him, right? He was wrong-footed. It was on our side of the ground, right? And it's okay. Robbo just got beaten by one of the game's best players on a wet track when he was wrong-footed. And if you happen to watch the footy at that point in time and haven't been watching this guy's development or any of the games he's played this year, that's the moment you choose to hang your hat on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Good on you. Yeah,
fair enough. You're right. But everything else that's ever happened, even in last year, you're like, this kid's special, and this year he's been superb. The good news is that the other Swans lit this bloke up. They're just like, "What are you talking about, mate? Open your eyes, turn the TV on sometime. Pay your electricity bill. Maybe you watch the game." Those kinds of nicely worded heckles, which was worth it. I liked it.
Yeah.
All right, we've spoken about the game. We have to go to the Bob medal. The Bob medal, of course, our 3-2-1 equivalent of the Bob Skilton medal. We haven't prepared that much, but I think is it fair, Noddy, to say that maybe we're looking at Chatty, Errol, Grundy, or Rampy in some kind of order there? Talk to me.
Yeah, I think Chad on 3.
I'll take it. Yep. Errol, then Grundy?
Errol, and then Grundy or Rampy. No, probably Rampy.
Rampy?
But then a very close, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's kind of the mix there. But they were all really good.
All right, let me crunch some numbers here 1 second. Yeah, I'll plug this in.
You're going to do this on the fly?
No, I'm just going to plug it in.
Oh, nice.
Type it out. There you go. All right, hang on. How do you spell Grundy? Oh, no, Rampy. You don't spell Rampy by Grundy. There's no B's in that. All right, mate. Well, that's the game. It was a cracker. It puts us in great standing, first place. Awesome, right? Like, wow.
Just quietly coming first in the competition. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, the Cats did lose against the D's in what was a pretty boring second half, I saw. But I think it's just good to see us at such a competitive part. We played a lot of really good teams and teams that are competitive, and we've got a few more to come. So after this, we've got the Dockers away. I've written here the Swans. That's kind of dumb of me. I meant the Blues at home. The Doggies away, then a bye. And then we play the Cats. So Dockers come in 6th. The Blues, I think they come in 8th. Bulldogs come in 11th, excuse me, and the Cats come in 2nd. A good run of games to give us another show. I think we spoke about it a couple of times before. We get to that bye and we got a pretty good situation about where we sit in the ladder. All teams have played like a lot of up and down teams across the board. I mean, there's a lot of teams up and down. There's so many teams in the middle that can't quite get their stuff together. When they do, they can just top anyone, and then sometimes they can just get blown out. So it's a really difficult competition to watch. And even looking at our loss to the Tigers, like that was a true surprise. And I think it's the Tigers, the only game the Tigers have won were the game against the Swans. So it just puts it in perspective. Like, it's just weird.
It would have been a perfect season otherwise so far. Yeah. But the Freo is pretty hard to read, right? They started the season beating the Lions, then beat the Roos, and then the Crows, and lost to the Blues closely, and then lost to Port closely, and then got smashed by the Eagles. Everyone's going, "What the hell's going on here?" And then we knew what they were capable of, and then they beat the Dogs, and then smashed the Tigers. So I think it's going to be a tricky one. Obviously, the thing that is interesting, I think, is the percentage we're on, 147%.
Huge.
And that's the next closest is the Cats in second on 129.5. So that's a pretty healthy little percentage gap there. Obviously, it's you can't assume that you're going to be putting 100 points on every week and stopping the opposition from scoring 80 or whatever, but
that's a healthy look.
It's very healthy, and it's a long season. We know this. It's a long season. Touch wood. But
only in modern memory. Modern memory tells us that I think it was 2020 or so, or something like that. We missed out on sixth spot by like a couple of points. So we'll take every bit of percentage we'll take. So 100 was it 144? You said 90.
147.
147. We'll take all of it. So yeah. Well, yeah. Look, the Dockers this week away. So. Want to shout out to our friends over there in the WA Swans Club, Swans crew. If someone is heading over to WA to watch the game from the Eastern States or from anywhere for that matter, make sure you reach out to the WA crew. They put on a proper event. They make sure they get lots of love from the Swans. It's fantastic. And they do pre-stuff, they do post-stuff. They're run by a great couple. One bloke called Daz that we interviewed last year when he came to Sydney. Cracking guy. G'day, Daz. How you doing? But yeah, definitely get out there and say hello. And I think there's a website you can jump on, WA Swans fans, something along those lines. They've got a Facebook page and everything. Reach out to them, go say hello. You have a great time. It's going to be grand. So they're going to have an absolute cracker. Noddy, Dockers, let's see what happens, right? Is there anything in particular we want to note outside of losing Tommy McCartan and question mark over Rampy coming back in?
No. I think we'll just wait and see how the team gets called on Thursday. Obviously, the VFL had a good win as well, and we've already spoken about Hamling. And
does he get a nod against his old team, you reckon?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Seems like maybe the thing you would do. Do a little bit of a mental thing for him, for him to get over there, because he had a tough run there, didn't he? He had 3 years of 6 games or something, right? So I don't know. He just he had some good shots, but Parker was good. Sheldrick is knocking on the door.
Poor Sheldrick. He's the one that's missing out on all of this. I am so concerned about losing this kid because he's not getting the chances in the seniors, and he deserves every bit of it.
Yeah. No, if either of Chad Warner or Gus Sheldrick go to WA, I will not be okay with it unless Caleb Sarong is coming back our way.
Oh, yes, of course. That's right. The Dill Stevens situation. I
don't even want to think about that. I would rather keep Chad and Beef and just roll on. But anyway, who else was good? There's a local boy playing his third VFL game from the Northern Beaches, so Wicks version 2. I've got to be careful saying that, but his name's James Lugsden, I believe. Luggo is what his mates seem to be calling him. He kicked 4 goals, 4 snags in his third VFL game. So the Swans Academy player, and you never know, you could get elevated. I mean, Kirky was elevated. Edwards before that, Sheether and Bell, and there's a bunch of elevations. So he could be working hard. There's also a lot of other academy players that could have a run there.
You're saying he's a Sydney boy himself, like local?
Yeah, he's from like Manly. He's played Manly Warringah, played Manly.
There you go.
He's but in the Swans Academy. So he's a 177 centimetre midfielder, but can clearly go forward and kick goals. I mean,
I'm 1 centimetre taller than 177. You can do the math. I think that's pretty tall, quietly. So I think he might have a good crack.
That's bang on average, mate. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the vein of Papley,
Wixie,
little taller than Golden, Wixie, that kind of small forward. But I think that Caleb Mitchell had a beautiful running goal. Caden Cleary was good. Yeah, I think these are the guys that are thereabouts, but it's going to be more, whether we bring in a key defender or, or we put Fox back and then have Blakey go tall as well.
Yeah. We don't really have any games ahead of us that are junk games. There's not I mean, I don't know when we play North, but like those kinds of games you look forward to. Like, okay, well, maybe we'll blood a bloke up the back or wherever, and we just don't have any at the moment because every team can beat anyone. Like the Bulldogs are coming in 11th, but they're a good chance of beating anyone on any one given day as long as Bevo's doing whatever he does. So it's hard. It's really hard to blood these kids, and it's a real shame because Sheldrick deserves some more cracks at it, and we just can't get him on.
I guess this is the thing that because we've kind of been doing this over the last, probably 4 years or so, right? But if you start to get in the window, you think about these big teams like Richmond during their run, the Hawks, and then the Cats. The same team rocks up week in, week out, right? It's very, very hard to get a game other than outside of injuries, right?
Yeah, 100%.
If everyone's playing and you're winning, you don't really have to talk about teams because everyone knows who's playing. So it's sort of a good and a bad thing. But I'm not saying we're there yet. But I feel like we're moving into that. The more this season goes on, and certainly over the next couple of years, notwithstanding a few of those senior guys who are coming towards the end of their careers, but. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I think there's no junk games. There's no junk games.
No junk games. We need them, but we can't pretend.
There's always junk time, but there's no junk games.
There's junk time. Yeah. All right. Well, the VFLW did play on the weekend at Tramway across the road from the SCG before the game. Well, it was a cracker. Went there. Actually bumped into a bunch of the girls, including Chloe Malloy, who managed to go say hi, and a few of the girls that weren't playing, like Paris and Newman was actually there. GWS now, but it was a great game. The Collingwood team actually put on a fair few AFLW players as well. So it was a genuine like for like in terms of talent on the ground. Chloe Malloy wasn't playing. She's, of course, our superstar. We were missing a couple pieces there. But, you had a lot of our girls getting up there and having a crack, and they looked amazing. So we're looking at a genuine AFLW to AFLW playing teams, and we unfortunately went down by 2 points in the last minute and a half. So a bit disappointing, but it was a really good game. Sophia Hurley just cranking it out, like 18 disposals, 16 tackles. Ella Heads right in front of us was superb. Tanya Kennedy, like really just continuing on from just learning the game, just nailing it. So the AFLW team is just looking really good. I'm really pumped about this year. So if you do want to get more football into here, make sure you keep watching the girls because they are having a crack at it, and they are continuing on with the men's season. And then as soon as the men's season is finished, just about finishing up, the girls start again. So we've got a full season of football ahead of us, even though we're barely halfway through this one. Footy. Mate, Marn Grook, talk to me. The new design. Richard Campbell, James Bell's uncle. Talk to me about his jersey. I love it.
It looks pretty cool. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
It is. Let me bring it up because I don't want to get this wrong. So as you said, Richard Campbell. Yep. Who's the uncle of James Bell, and he's done this in collaboration with a foundation, a First Nations foundation there in Shell Harbour, which is where they're from. And the artwork itself depicts Richard's totem, Gunyu, the black swan. The swan's feathers transform into an elder, Gumara, meaning wise old man. And then there's more to the story there, but we see the black swan come back, which I love. I've got that last the one before last iteration of the Indigenous Guernsey, and I love it. And this one's looking hot as well, mate. I think I might have to get this one. It looks great, doesn't it?
I love it. I want them to have a long sleeve version of it. I would love that. That looks like a cool jersey for a long sleever, but we'll get there. Should be cracker. All right, mate. Well, that does bring us to the end of this episode. So thank you for listening in. It was another long one. We're kind of cranking them on, but hey, we're having some fun with it. So it is what it is. If you did enjoy what we did, so please give us a like or a follow in whatever the channel of social media, your choice.
Otherwise, keep an ear out and an eye out for more content during the week, including teams and a few other videos we get going, as well as game day with Sam itself with the halftime report.
That's it. And we look forward to seeing you wherever you are. Make sure you're screaming at that TV super loud if you're in Sydney. If you're in WA, all the best of the game. And if you're in Melbourne, get screaming at that TV on that pub. Until next time, up the Bloods and can you 20s.
Always.